Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California, and you know what? I'm going to set up another little greenhouse. They're doing fantastic. And I've had so many of you asking me exactly how do you set them up?
Well, there's two ways to do it. So let's go over both ways and you pick which one you want. So here's how you put together your tote mini greenhouse. The first thing you want to do is put some potting soil on the bottom. Now, you won't need that much, about 2 inches. That's about it, but you do want to use potting soil out of a bag. I prefer not to use garden soil because I don't want any insects in there right now. Now, normally, yes, I tell you, we make wonderful soil when we're doing it in totes or containers. It's beautiful. But here's the thing. When we're moving it from our garden out of other containers, we don't know if there's something in there that could eat our seedlings. Earthworms are fantastic. I wouldn't worry too much about earthworms, but there could be cutworms or different worms in there, aphids. We might bring something in that we don't want. So for our mini greenhouse, it's best to just use soil that comes out of a bag. It's already broke down and there's nothing in it. All this is for seedlings, so we're not trying to break any matter down or anything. The next thing you want to do is cover the top. Now this will protect your plants, so no matter what plants you've got in there, you're not going to get whitefly or aphids or anything like that, and that will keep it nice and clean for your plants so they have a good chance of growing and not have to compete with insects or birds getting in there or anything. So what I do is I take the center out of the tote lid. I have a whole video on that, and I cut that out. Now what I'm doing here is I'm using tulle. It's a fabric. You can get that, many places. I get it online. The cheapest place is eBay. I've got the link down below, but you can get it at a fabric store. It's Tulle. It's kind of a lace fabric. It's very fine. Birds cannot get stuck to it, but insects can't get through. And it's very simple. All you're going to do is cut a piece that will fit your tote lid. And now with a regular paper stapler, I just so happen to have one that is a pliers type stapler. But any paper stapler, it will go through the tote lid. Just you go all the way around and just staple up, each corner and maybe a few on the side. So you're tucking in the tulle. This way, if anything lands on top, it's not going to go in. It's really easy to do. Now this was my method number 1, which is my everyday use, and I set them up like this all the time. But if you're kind of cool still, there's another way that you can create some heat, and you'll see here. What I do is I collect leaves from the garden. It can be brown leaves, green leaves, yellow leaves, but you want to have a good mix. You want to make sure there are some green and yellow leaves. But just a note, if you've got grass clippings and you know they're good, you can use that too. Now, I do understand there is a very slight risk that you could bring something in, but you're not going to bring in cutworms or roly-polies. You'd see that, and I don't think there's aphids on there. So we should be okay. And I cut it up, and let me tell you something, when that breaks down, that is fantastic too on the bottom. It smells good too. But you use whatever you've got. I actually pulled this grass out, but you might be able to get some from a gardener that trims down someone's grass. All you want to know is there's no herbicides in there to prevent weeds from growing, and you should be good to go. I don't worry about too many insects on those because normally the insects are going for the good green leaves. Just look them over, pile them in there, and push them down. This is going to create heat in your mini greenhouse, and I'm doing this right now since we've been in the 40s at night, and it works fantastic. What you're going to end up doing now is covering it with a potting soil. And make a good layer over that. It doesn't matter if it's even 3 or 4 inches, that's up to you. But make that layer covering those leaves, because as those leaves break down, it will create heat because the microbes are going to be working in there. And do keep an eye out for insects, but you should be okay. And make sure you keep that soil slightly damp so the microbes are happy. And when I say heat, it's going to be a very slight amount of heat, but enough for seedlings. Now make sure you get some holes in there, because in case it rains in there, you do not want this to fill with water. If you had it underneath somewhere, you could get away without holes, but go ahead and put some holes in there. Now your mini greenhouse is just waiting for your seedlings. Whatever way you start them, whether it's in cups or in trays, you can start to load them in there. It's the perfect little greenhouse until you are ready to put them out in the garden. And being that this is outside, your plants are already hardened off, which means they're used to being outside And so they'll be ready to be put in the garden as soon as the temperature is perfect. And then keep them watered and keep them covered so no insects or birds get them. And you should have beautiful, healthy plants all outside in your own mini greenhouse. I have made quite a few of them now. I like the light green color, but you could go with a light blue or even something that's almost clear. The main thing is you want a little bit of light to get through. Now, I would not put them in direct sunlight. If they get some sunlight, that's okay. On my deck, though, I will admit I am south facing, so it gets a lot of sun. So sometimes I put a little flag attached to the lid just to give it a little extra added shade, and it works perfect for those hot, sunny days. I also have them in my rainbow garden. I have them on my deck, and I'm probably going to have more, and I make different types of tops for them. Not only do I start seedlings in there, but I do cuttings. I propagate plants in there, and it's perfect. The plants don't get a draft. There's no constant wind blowing on them, and they just thrive in there until I pull them out. With that added soil, it gives them perfect insulation, and then the sides and the top for healthy, happy plants.
So I hope I've given you ideas on how to set up a greenhouse to get some of your seedlings going. And this way you can get a jump start on some of them. It's small, but what does it cost you? $7 for the whole thing, and now you've got a greenhouse for your seedlings. You can start seedlings in there in trays if you want. I can put my tray in there that's got some seedlings and sit that in there. And now it will have that little bit of warmth, and it doesn't have a draft on it. So you don't have a cold wind chill factor blowing onto your plants. All you have is just the warmth from the inside, the light coming through, the sunlight is giving it warmth, the soil is going to hold a little bit of heat, and the leaves are going to have the microbes breaking it down, and then what you've got is a mini greenhouse until spring comes. So with that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye!
I will have to admit, I just love totes. There's so many things you can do with it besides growing in it. You can start your seeds. You can come out and check on them anytime you want. It is so easy to maintain. You can have a few of them around. You can put your pencil boxes in there if you're starting seeds, or paper cups. And you know what's nice is if it's a quiet night and it's cold, and you want to go outside and check on things and check on your plants, you can step outside and cover your plants at 36 degrees weather and put a towel on top in hopes of keeping them alive. You know what? It worked. I saved those flowers. And then you can check on your seedlings. And you know, they looked pretty good for the cold weather. I didn't have to do anything with them. Nothing nicer than night gardening on a deck. I don't know if I want to go out at night with bobcats, coyotes, and skunks running around, but I do.